Welcome to Built in Vegas, the podcast where we spotlight the stories, strategies, and resources behind the businesses that make Vegas thrive. Whether you're starting up or scaling up, you're in the right place. Brought to you by the Video Podcast Studio. Let's dive in.
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going great.
Thanks for coming into the studio. I know it was short, last minute notice for you.
Are you kidding me? I'm thrilled. Any opportunity I get to be here with you guys, I am all for it. I love it.
So first off, just give the audience a little introduction to who are you, your background, what do you do, childhood trauma, all the good stuff.
All the nitty gritty. So my name's Chrissy Bound. I'm the owner and publisher of Henderson City Lifestyle Magazine. I've been in Vegas now this is my 21st year here in town. Moved here to go to college at UNLV. Never thought I would be here beyond college. Made an amazing group of girlfriends my very first night of moving here that are still some of my best friends to this day. Ended up getting a job after I graduated here in town in media, and the rest is history. 20 years later, here I am, still living and loving Las Vegas. So I published the magazine. The magazine comes out every single month, which is also hilarious because I would tell people, I would always say how much I love this city, and my friends would make fun of me, be like, you should be the town ambassador. And now I basically am like the town ambassador.
Yeah. So before you got into city lifestyle, what were you doing?
So I was in broadcast media for 14 years. So when I was at UNLV, I just wild hair, wanted my own desk on campus, thought I would be a writer. So I went to get a job at the student newspaper. And they were like, you know what? We don't have any jobs in the editorial side, but we're looking for a classified job ad listing manager. Huh? Like, what is that? I had no idea. But again, I got my own computer, my own phone, and my own desk on campus. So I was like, sure, this would be great. So I started working at the student newspaper, really ended up enjoying the advertising side of the business, became the advertising manager of the paper. And then I went over to Fox 5 in 2009 and was an account executive for them for 7 years, and then was one of the local sales managers for the last 7 years. And then I resigned in 2023 to buy the magazine. So my entire professional experience has all been in the media world, and always on the back end, on the business side, which is why I'm awkward in front of a camera.
I'm even worse in front of a camera.
I think
that's
you do
for
great.
sure.
You tell everybody else how to do it.
Yeah, I can tell you how to do it, but I don't do it well.
Spoken like somebody who has spent a lot of time behind the camera, and I can relate. I get it.
So you bought into the business. Mm-hmm. What's something that maybe you didn't know about entrepreneurship before getting into this? Now you're like, oh man, I wish I would have known this, or just something that you didn't know was coming.
It's interesting because it actually has nothing to do with business. So I've been working in the business world for almost 20 years now. I'm 38 and started my media career. So I've been in media specifically for about 17 years. And the thing that I wasn't expecting it was actually a personal side of it. I had one of my friends who's also a female entrepreneur say, there's nothing like owning your own business that will force you to address your own crap head on in terms of the personal side of it. Because when you're owning and running a business, you have to be your own self-motivator. You have to be your own self-motivator. You also have to be your own harshest critic. Like, you have to be optimizing all the time. But in order to be able to be in a headspace where you can continually ask yourself, like, am I doing this as efficiently as I could? What could I have improved on, et cetera, you kind of have to deal with some of your own demons to be able to be in a good headspace, to be able to think clearly, to be able to work at an optimal level. And I think to be a successful entrepreneur, you have to be somebody who's always going to be self-motivated. And at the end of every single month, I look back, and because I'm OCD, I have a whole system that I use for closing out my month every month. And I always ask myself, did I use my time as efficiently as I could have? Did I, maximize profits and minimize expenses as well if I could have? How could I optimize this? But in order to be able to operate at a high level, you got to deal with your demons first, and you have to be in a good headspace to be able to do that. And I had a friend say that, like, nothing will make you deal with your own stuff as much as owning your own business. And I was like, what the heck is she talking about? And then when I did it, I was like, oh, I understand, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think entrepreneurship is just this never ending journey of self-discovery, right? Like I have to constantly look in the mirror and constantly go, okay, well, why am I failing, or what am I struggling with? How do I become better at it, or how do I find the right people
to help
with what I'm not good at, like speaking? You know, I need somebody else to speak for me because obviously I can't speak very clear.
You give yourself too hard of a time. Seriously, you do a good job.
But, you know, one thing you were talking about was time management. You know, I think something that's a lot of new business owners struggle with, and maybe even people that are more experienced, is they think because they're busy, they are doing what it takes to grow the business. I mean, I myself find myself doing that, you know, working 18 hours a day. And at the end of the day, I'm like, wait, what did I actually do to help the business grow? What are some tips or some things that you do to make sure that you are using your time wisely? And where do you feel like your time is best spent?
It's interesting because you know those inflatables in front of the gas station? That is probably the way that I would, exactly. They just are floating with the wind. Like that would be a way that I would describe my first few months as a publisher, just trying to figure out that flow. But one thing that has really helped me is time blocking. And it's such a powerful question that you ask because, you know, you're right. Busy doesn't mean results. Like, what did you actually do within this day to move the needle for revenue? And so I think to me, like, time blocking is hugely beneficial. And the other thing is, I'm a super social person. I love to be out and about and networking and all that. But like, I also have limitations on my time, same as you, same as everybody. So when I'm committing to something, like, is this something where I can either help somebody, where I see potential for growth in my business, or is this going to be something that's going to move the needle or not? And my first year, I just committed. I said yes. It was like my year of yes. And then by the end of that first year, I was exhausted. I was so tired. I basically ended up having to take a month of like just doing client meetings, no networking stuff. I just needed a break. And I realized, I'm like, man, I gotta start picking and choosing what I'm going to commit to and what I'm not going to. But even within the week, to your exact point, like, you know, we're our own best boss and our own worst boss, because when you're an entrepreneur, like, your day is your own, which is great because, you know, you can do things like you can go to drop off, or you can go to games, like you get to travel, you know, you get to do all those things. But at the same point in time, if you aren't using that time efficiently, you can also run yourself right into the ground if you're not careful too. So, like, to me, that's such a long answer to your question, but time blocking and then holding yourself accountable to those time constraints that you put on yourself.
I think the reason why I like doing these podcasts, right, and now that we kind of have a little bit clearer vision of what we're trying to do with it, is it, like, when we have these conversations, there's a lot of these things that I'm like, yeah, I know that. And then I start thinking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm not doing that though. And, you know, when you were talking about that, like using your time efficiently, your first year, you were saying yes to everything. I'm definitely kind of in that same boat where we're saying yes because we're a new company. We want to build relationships. We want to do this. We want to do that. But then the saying that I used to think about a lot more, and now that came to mind, was, you know, when you say yes, you're actually saying no to other things.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's something that lately I've been trying to think about more. It's like, hey, if I say yes to this, what am I saying no to? I'm saying no to going up to Utah and watching my son play hockey, right? I'm saying no to spending time with my wife. I'm saying no to these things. So is this really worth saying yes to, right? Does it drive the needle? Does it grow the business? Does it help us? And it doesn't have to be an immediate thing, but is it the right fit to spend my time focusing on either that person, that opportunity, those networking events, right? Because if you want to network, there's going to be something every day.
But this goes back to what I was saying about having to deal with your own stuff. Because I think in the beginning, like, we all want to try to do, you know, we want to try to do as much as we can to help other people, right? But to your exact point, like at some point you've got to be able to establish those boundaries for like what you are willing to do and what you're not. Because to your exact point, like by saying yes to everything, you're saying no to yourself, you're saying no to your family, at some point you're saying no to your own business too. You're saying no. The time that I could spend growing this or whatever else, like you're saying no to your own business too. So it's hard.
Yeah, that's a realization that I've had recently about where we are currently, where it's like I've been saying yes to way too much. And so I actually just the other day sat down, refocused. That's when I was like, hey, I've been saying we're going to throw events. We need to start throwing events. One, our clients need these events. Two, it drives people into the studio. We get to meet new people, so it's good for business. And so sat down and was like, okay, this is something that we have to say yes to and we have to make time for, because I've been spending too much time doing other things and with other people that I know wasn't really going to help. But because we're new, I'm just saying yes to everything.
Yeah.
And I need to stop that. So thank you for reminding me.
Well, the other thing I think too, and this is just from, before I bought the business, I was a manager for 7 years and managed all different types of personalities. And it's interesting because, here I am, I'm leading this team and telling them how to put together marketing campaigns, how to build strategy, all these things. But I learned a lot from these guys too, because it's a lot of different personalities and a lot of different ways of working. And before I was a manager, I had my way of doing things. And like, this was how I would take on a task or a problem or whatever. But one thing that I realized was there's more than one way to get to the end, to get to the finish line. And sometimes like the initial way that you think you're going to go about doing something may be entirely different from how you actually get there. And so you have to give yourself grace and allow yourself some space to be able to make some mistakes. And, as long as I think when you're working with clients, like even if something doesn't go exactly as you planned, I think that as long as you're honest and upfront and you're authentic and genuinely yourself, if something doesn't go exactly as you planned, if you say, hey, here's the situation and here's how I recommend we fix it, like they're going to be okay with it, And my other piece of, I guess, completely unsolicited advice, and I actually do wish Chad was here for this one because I made him do this with me frequently with the magazines. I'm really big on goal setting. I know it sounds nerdy. I am a nerd. I own it. But when I'm coming to the end of a calendar year, and I did this before I had the magazines, and it's definitely something that I do with the magazine. So I put together my list of my annual goals in end of December, like that week between Christmas and New Year's, when most people are visiting family and traveling and whatever. I just take a couple hours and I map out what went well, what didn't go well, and what are my goals for the upcoming year. And then I do quarterly goals as well. And it's not like I'm sitting here taking an entire day to do this. Like I'm not burning the midnight oil, like staying up till 2 a.m. doing this. Like I take an hour. I take an hour once a quarter. And I have the same sheet, and the same sheet has worked for me in my broadcast world, in my, publication world. And it's funny because like no matter how much life has changed over that course of time, the buckets remain the same. There's a financial goal, there's a relationship goal, there's a networking goal, there's a mind expansion, like a learning goal. And the stuff that I put into these boxes is different, but like the core chunks of the goal setting stay the same. So once a quarter, I will update that sheet. I'll take an hour, I'll go box by box, and I'll update everything in there. And I'll also look back, and it's kind of like my own personal accountability factor of like, did I accomplish the things that I set out to do on January 1st? Like we're coming up at the end of first quarter. So on Tuesday, on April 1st, start of Q2, I'm going to look through my Q1 goals and say, okay, what did I accomplish? What did I not accomplish personally and professionally? And that way it's like, we're only one quarter in. Like we're not sitting here beating ourselves up on like December 20th of like, oh my God, I had all these goals for 2025. I didn't hit any of them. What the heck? I'm analyzing this on a quarterly basis of am I on track? Am I not on track? Do I need to pivot or do I need to stay the course? And that I think has been hugely beneficial for me in entrepreneurship and just in life, No,
I love that. I need you to send me the sheet.
I'll send you the sheet.
Because I've set goals, and once again, like I said, these interviews end up, I'm always like, oh yeah, I'm not doing that. I tried it for a little bit and I stopped. Same thing, goal setting. I was actually thinking about this the other day. I was like, I need to go back. I need to revisit my goals. I need to set them down quarterly, and then I need to kind of look at it weekly is kind of my vision. I think a lot of people don't understand the power that goal setting has.
Oh my God.
Right? Because to me, the goal, when you have the goal, it helps you create the footwork, the pathway to get there. Mm-hmm. Right? If you don't have an exact goal, right, then you're really not going anywhere. Like if you have no final destination, it doesn't really matter what path you take or where you end up because, right?
Yeah. They say that, what is it? A goal without a plan is just a wish. And like that slaps, but it is true. And I'm never going to be one to say like, oh, I know exactly how I'm going to get there. Like, no, I know that the road is arduous and long and twisty, turny, all the things. At the same point though, like, without having some sort of a roadmap, you're flailing in front of the gas station. You're the inflatable that's just flailing in front of the gas station with the wind. And I mean, we could literally do an entire podcast on goal setting, but to me, like it also, like the other thing that comes with being an entrepreneur is like you are getting, 50 things thrown at you within a day and totally different stuff. Like for me in the publishing world, I'm shifting gears constantly. So I'm going from, okay, let me help you come up with this messaging for your ad. And then I'm pivoting to the editorial side and like, okay, who do we want to feature this month? What events are coming up? Like what businesses are we going to do for a business monthly announcement? To then like, let me go into QuickBooks and like monitor these. We're constantly shifting gears. And so it's very easy to get to the end of the day and your mind is just so cluttered with all these different things. And the other thing that physically taking the time to write it out on paper, it declutters your mind. It takes all these 50 things that are coming at you at once and it just clears that air. And now it's like, okay, I've got everything itemized. I've got everything structured. And I am very big on structure. You probably know this about me by now. But I think that like it just gives me that mental clarity to say like, okay, this is the path, And the other thing, psychologically, I'll send you the template, but you have to handwrite it. You can't type it. Like there's something about you physically writing it in your own handwriting that makes the goals real. And then when you're looking back at the end of a quarter or at the end of the year, you're like, well, who the hell came up with this lofty goal? Like, it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me, And you have to be the one to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, what actions did I take or did I not take that led me to this point? And then the other thing I think that goes along with this goal setting thing too is having an accountability partner. Like as an entrepreneur, you have to be your own accountability partner. Like you have to be a self-motivated person who's able to like call yourself on the carpet and be like, man, I crushed this quarter, or like, ugh, like I could have done better than I did, But it doesn't hurt to have somebody who's not afraid to tell you, like, call the baby ugly and be like, what happened? What did you do? Like having, whether it's a mentor or a colleague or, somebody in your field that you trust. I think it's always good to have an accountability partner with your goals too. That's going to be the one to say like, what the heck happened this month?
Yeah. No, I love that. It's everything you're saying is so true. Man, I'm struggling speaking today.
You're fine.
I don't know what it is.
You always
normally I do a better job normally.
You do a great
I keep
job.
stuttering today. It's all right. It's a podcast.
Well,
you're allowed to.
It's casual. It's just us and it's casual and I think
Yeah, but like there's so many times where I like get through the whole day and I'm like, and I tell my wife, I'm like, I gotta go back to work after tonight, like later tonight when you go to bed. She's like, Why? I was like, well, because I got to actually work now. Because I spent the whole day answering emails, meetings, right? Shifting this hat, following up on this, that I didn't, or getting these projects done, but I didn't get any of this stuff done with the marketing, right? And obviously, like, those are the growing pains of a small business, a startup business like we still are, where we don't have the revenue to hire people for certain jobs. So it all falls on me, where we could maybe do it, but then it would hurt. But if, and in that little in between where it's like, okay, when do I take that next step? When do I go, okay.
When do you scale?
Yeah. When do we add another person to the team? And, you know, and then that's a whole different, like, ball game that like, you know, when I first started the podcast studio, right, I was like, I've been in business on my own for like, I don't know, 15 years or something like that. And I've done a few other small things as well. And I was like, all right, like, told my wife, I was like, it's gonna be easy. Like, I got this. I was like, give me like 6
Famous last
I was like,
words.
give me like 6 months of like kind of working a lot, and I'll be like done working.
Yeah. That's like every entrepreneur's dream. Like, I'll be doing this for X amount of time.
And then I didn't realize, because I've never had like a brick and mortar location. I've never like, I mean, I had a team for a little bit, like a salaried team, but like, man, trying to build like a real place with no funding, no loans, and just go off of like it's a beast. After 6 months, I told my wife, I think we only had like these 2 rooms done, and then I was like, I told my wife, I was like, all right, give me 2 years, all right, give me 2 years of crappy hours, and then I'll still work full time. I'll just work less full time. I'll work 10-hour days instead of 18. You know, so I'm a lot more realistic now. I did definitely go into this a little bit more like starry-eyed, like, oh, this will be easy.
Everybody does that. Don't you feel like that though? Like,
well, I mean, definitely. There are a lot of people that I see get into business that think it's going to be really like easy. Like, oh, all I have to do is this. It's like, yeah, that's all you have to do, but it's also really hard to do that. But I thought, because of my past experience, which this is a whole different ballgame, because I also didn't realize how complicated a lot of this stuff was, even though it's in the industry I've been in. And so just figuring it out, like, it's been fun though. What's your,
actually, I have a quick question for you on that, if you don't mind. So I'm just curious, do you have a lot of entrepreneurs in your family? Like, did you have a lot of entrepreneurs growing up that you were watching, or? No. So you are the first one to make the jump.
Yeah, so I'm the only entrepreneur in my family. Okay. Really. Yeah, so my dad was a lawyer. Okay. My mom was a kindergarten teacher, and then eventually became a principal. Okay. Right. Now they did do real estate and stuff, and they hustled, they worked hard. My dad became a named partner on a firm, you know, so they had the work drive, but none of them were like entrepreneurs. They weren't opening up businesses. Honestly, I don't even know how I actually, so I was thinking about going to school to become a lawyer. Okay. Right. And
Me too. Yeah. How weird. Okay.
I wanted to do that because I was like, okay, my dad makes good money. Yeah. But then I was like, oh, my dad just works so much. I was like, I don't want to work very hard. I'll just open my own business. They don't work.
Oh my gosh.
And so then I was like, okay, yeah. Well, and I had some previous experience doing the video stuff. And I don't think I ever considered entrepreneurship really until I got a job doing video for a studio in town. That was literally like the next block over from here. Yep. And shooting TV commercials. There's a little bit of drama. I went from being like hourly to like per project, which then I got to learn about the industry more. And a buddy of mine, Rhett, who was running the studio, he like mentored me. He was like, all right, this is how you bill for things in video. This is this and that. And I made like a lot more money. I was like, wait. This is great. Cool. I can so I can go get my own clients and do the same thing. He's like, yeah. And so that is probably where the idea sparked. And then, I was like, I just don't want to work hard. I'll just be a business owner because that's so easy. Funny.
And you work like way more hours.
Oh, yeah.
But it's different though when it's yours versus working for somebody else, you know?
Yeah, I've actually I've only had one job.
That's crazy.
So that wasn't video. Yeah. So I worked for linens and things.
Oh my gosh, I remember linens and things.
I worked in the towel department, folding towels all day long. I was like 17. 16 or 17. I can't remember.
So funny, linens and things.
Yeah, my sister had a job there and she got me one. And,
that's awesome.
But that's back when minimum wage was like $6.25 or something like that, right? And so I'm like, I didn't know standing up like hurt so much.
Oh yeah. By the end of the day, you're just like.
And like I remember I was like working for however many hours, and I get my paycheck.
Yeah.
And it was like after 2 weeks, I had like $125 or something.
Like, what the heck?
And I was like, dude, I can mow lawns and make more money than this. So I quit. And they were like begging me to come back because I was a good employee. But I was like, oh, well, I'm going out of town for like 2 weeks, right? Because this was my first job ever, too. So I was like, oh, if I have to leave for 2 weeks, they won't take me back. And they're like, okay, well, you have your job. I was like, oh, but I'm going to start college.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, well, we'll work around your schedule. And I was like, and I never went back and picked up my last paycheck.
Oh, my God.
Because I would have been like, oh, sure. And just started like working again.
So somewhere, linens and things probably still owes you about $125.
Yeah, it was like $60 or something.
That's hilarious.
And so that's the only job I actually ever had.
Okay.
And I did it for, I think, like 3 or 4 weeks. Like as soon as I got that first paycheck, I was like, what am I doing?
See ya.
And then the only other job I had that wasn't for myself was in the studio, which was kind of a funny story how that happened. But yeah, so no entrepreneurs in my family. I mean, my sister at this point, she's become pretty entrepreneurial as well. And then my other sister, her husband and I started something together that he's taken over completely, and they kind of run it together now.
I was just curious because, like, you know, for me, I had the opposite. So my grandpa owned his own business. My mom owned a law firm for 20 years before she became a judge. And then my uncle owned a law firm. Like, I got a lot of lawyers in my family, too, in California. But I had a lot of people around me, and especially my mom, you know, like I grew up in a house where my mom owned the business. Like, she was an attorney, but she was the owner of the firm. Her and her partner were. And so for me, it was weird because, like, that was just kind of like the life that I grew up with. So here I am working for 14 years for this corporate company, and I'm just thinking, like, I'm the outlier here, you know? Like, I'm the outlier in my family because, like, they all worked for themselves, you know? And so it was just interesting. And I'm always curious with other entrepreneurs because, like, I'm not going to say leaving the safety of a big corporate job is ever easy, because that took me a long time to get to that point where I felt like I'm ready, you know? And honestly, I give my husband a lot of credit for that too, because he gave me the push to be like, it's time. You know what I mean? It's time. You're ready. Like, you know, and eventually for me, I got sick. So that was like a big eye-opening experience for me. Like, just the stress and all the you know, a lot of factors. But for me, getting sick ended up being like the best thing that ever happened to me, because it was like the universe pulling an e-brake on my life and saying, like, okay, you need to take a pause. You've been running at this fast speed, because I started my corporate job when I was 22 and I was there until I was 36. And like, I did not take a break in that entire 14 years. I was just go, like pedal down. And when I got sick, it was like the universe forcing me to like stop and ask myself, like, am I still on the path that I want to be on? Like, I was moving at such a speed that like I didn't even, like, this whole goal setting thing, that's why it's so important to me now, because I was moving at such a fast pace. Like, at some point in that time, like, I stopped even asking myself the question of like, is this the path? Is this the goal still, you know? And then when I got sick, the answer was no, you know? And once I had that realization, like, I mean, I think it took me 3 months after I finally came to that conclusion before I resigned, bought the magazine. And it's crazy because, like, the universe will put things into your path at the right time. Like, I kind of had this realization in the summer of 2023. Was going to Kansas City to visit a friend of mine from UNLV. She had to work one of the days while I was there, and I was like, no worries, I'll call one of my former coworkers who lives there now, happened to work for the corporate company for City Lifestyle. I reached out to her just to say, hey, I'm going to be coming to Kansas City. You want to grab lunch or whatever? She's like, I can't believe you're calling me. And I was like, why? She's like, there's an opportunity for Henderson. And I know how you are about Henderson. And I was like, shut up, you know? And then it just altered the entire course of my life. But I mean, the root of the goal setting, I think for me is so important because it's like, it's easy to get warped into these corporate, like, there's nothing wrong with corporate jobs. There's a lot of benefits to working for a big corporate company. You got a 401k, you got health benefits, you know, you have a consistent salary job every single month. And truthfully, like, I wouldn't have been able to buy my business without it. And I don't even think I would be as good at my business without my background, because I worked with some amazing people in broadcast who like taught me so many things about marketing and business and like, you know, and who are willing to like, you know, pick me up along the way and like show me the ropes and everything. So it's like, and obviously the money that I made when I was working there was beneficial too, because that's what I used to be able to buy the magazine. But I'm always curious about people's journeys to entrepreneurship, because I think if you're the first one in your family to do it, that's a little scarier, because like you don't have that firsthand experience of watching somebody in your immediate family do it.
Yeah. Well, like I remember, so I mean, once again, dad's a lawyer, mom's an educator. She had her doctor's degree, right?
You got a smart family.
And then here I am at CSN, and then quitting school.
Yeah.
Right. And I was married, had my own house at the time. And I remember my parents, both of them were like, what are you doing? Like, why would you quit school to like take photos? Like, you know, like you.
They didn't understand.
They weren't negative, and they weren't like, oh, you can't do this, but they're like, you need a degree. And from there, what they do, you need degrees. From there, growing up, like the degrees meant a lot more than like me growing up, and I think nowadays too. And so to them, like, you know, college is so important. And once again, they were never like, oh, this is stupid, don't do it. But they were just like what's your backup plan? And I was always like, well, my backup plan is I'll just do what I'm good at for somebody else. Like I'll go find a job. Like I've gotten one before. And yeah, I remember, you know, the first year made whatever I made and told my mom, she's like, just like blown away. She's like, people gave you that much money. It wasn't much. It was like 15 grand or maybe 20. And she's like, that's crazy. I can't believe people gave you that much money. And then the next year it was more. She's like, what? Next year more, next year more. And then, you know, now they're, I mean, they've always been on board and hype, but they think it's so cool. Like, and then seeing me build this, they're like, oh yeah, we know you can do this. Right.
Yeah.
And it is scary. Like, cause I didn't have anybody to model after, and I hadn't no point of reference on how to do things or what to do. I literally just like did stuff. Yeah. You know,
and I went with it.
And that's kind of how I feel now. And that, to me, that's one of the biggest reasons why I wanted to start this podcast too, is because it allows me to have conversations with other entrepreneurs and be like, how are you doing this? Because I still don't know, right? Yeah. I've never built a location. Like I know how to go get clients and do and own my own job, because at the end of the day, that's what I've done for the past 15 years is own my own job. I haven't built a business. And now I'm trying to build a business that can run and operate without me. Yeah. And I still have no frame of reference, and I'm just trying to figure this out.
Well, and man, I feel that, because it's, you also go through this phase where, and it goes back to what I said about having to deal with your own crap, you know, like you have to, like, I think every business owner goes through this imposter syndrome phase too, where it's like, well, what makes me qualified to be able to say I'm this, you know, like what makes me more qualified than other people? It's like, shut up, can we say shit on here? But like, cut the shit, you know, like you have your experience, like look at all the things that you've done in video production, in marketing, and like all these major projects that you've worked on that have led you to this point. Like, and same with me, like look at all these campaigns I've built for all these big businesses here in our city. And yet here I am like, hi, in the beginning when I first became a publisher. And now I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. Like, and same with you. It's like, but it is different. It's like you were doing jobs for people and now you're building an entire business. And like, that takes courage, that takes guts, and it takes you leaving that imposter syndrome behind and saying, like, this is my business, this is what we do confidently, and this is why other people should do business with us, you know? And that takes like, you individually, we all, I had to, you have to. Like, we all have to just get to that point where we kind of cut the shit, you know?
Yeah, there's been many of long, lonely nights in the studio of me staring at the walls going, why did I do this?
Yeah. It is so true.
There's been so many.
God.
There's been so many of those nights of like, did I just make the biggest mistake of my life? Because my life was pretty comfy before.
Yeah.
I didn't work a lot.
Yeah.
Like we got to a point after 15 years of like, I have really good clients. I don't have to work very hard to go get new clients. I don't have to work very hard to make really good money, and I can just enjoy my life. And then now I'm 18 hours a day, 20 hours a day working here. And, you know,
but what was missing?
There's so many nights, though, like, seriously, where I'm just, like, sitting here staring at, like, the equipment and stuff. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, can I do this? I can't do this. Like, what? I'm so dumb for thinking I can do this. And I've been able to block a lot of that out. But I think, like, going to what you were saying of, like, you know, cutting the crap and, like, not being able, looking at what you've accomplished. I think it's hard in the beginning of starting something.
Yeah.
Right? Not just because of, like, self-worth or the way you look at yourself, but I think it's because, like, if you're not generating the revenue that you need, there's this like insecurity of like, oh, maybe this doesn't work. Because I know for me, like in the video world, it took me a while to be really confident. Like I'm a creative, so like us creatives, we hate ourselves. That's why we create, right? That's why we create art.
Yeah.
And so like for me, it took a long time to be able to like understand my value, stand up for it. And then once I started making a certain amount of money, it was like, oh, like, I don't even need your money. Like, it's like, you don't want to pay my price? Screw you. I don't need your money. But then when you get into the beginning of a business, it's like, no, please, like, I need your money.
Can I have my pennies, please?
I don't know why you should use this. I just need a check.
Yeah.
Like, please. Like, And so I definitely felt myself falling back into that, but getting back to that point now of, like, no, we need to be a lot more confident in what we do because I know what we
deliver an amazing product.
Well, and what we do, it's like, you know, it's not even about the video and the quality of the stuff. It's the connections that are being made. It's the relationships being built. You know, it's such a great tool for these small businesses to really grow when they do it the right way, and we can help them do it that way. And so we have something valuable, and it's not very expensive. And it's crazy to me when people tell us it is expensive. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. We are not. Like, we should actually be a lot more expensive.
Yeah.
But, you know, I wanted to build something affordable, and I wanted to build something that, like, small business owners can leverage. But it has a high-end professional quality grade to it. And, so I'm in that in-between of, like, okay, I have to be more confident now. And I got to cut the crap, and I got to start believing in myself because – you know, if you're trying to lead a team and you don't believe in yourself, how's your team ever going to believe in you?
Yeah.
Right? If you're trying to lead your family, if you're trying to, you know, build a business, and if you are struggling to believe in your product or your service,
no one's going to buy it.
Yeah. Your
no
clients.
one's going to use it.
Yeah. If you come in and you're like, I mean, I think this might be good for you, maybe.
No, like you guys put out an amazing product here at the studio. And like the quality's good. The service is good. Everyone that comes through here has a good experience, and I get that too because it's like with the magazine, like we do a great job in putting together these really high quality magazines that go to an affluent audience of people. They connect. I get people that will send me, you know, readers. Like one of my most recent clients came from a reader. The reader told one of my clients, you should check out this magazine. And she called me and was like, hey, I want to meet with you. I was like, great. How'd you hear about us? And she's like, what? Somebody who gets the magazine. Like we have to be confident in our product. And, you know, sometimes when you're new, like that's the other thing too. You take a lot of hits when you are a new business. You take a lot of hits and it's a lot of stress. And I think that time also allows you to just like settle in. Not settle in where you're going to be like, all right, you know, but like settle in the sense of like, in the beginning, it can feel like any situation that comes up is a fire drill. And then once you've been doing it for a while and you realize like, okay, let's all just take a tea, take a breath. Like there's a solution to every problem. Everything's going to be fine. Like you don't react in the same like Chicken Little, the sky is falling as you do in the very beginning. So I feel like that also plays into that confidence factor in your abilities because, you know, in the beginning, everything that goes wrong is like crazy, you know? And then as time goes by, it's like, all right. This is unfortunate. We could figure this out. What's the solution here, you know? And you just figure out how to navigate, so that builds your confidence as well, and it helps you just be stronger as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, you know?
What do you think is the hardest thing about building a business in Vegas?
Well, I think that it's a pro and a con at the same time. So Vegas is constantly reinventing itself. And so I think that can be a benefit, and that can also be a hindrance at times too. A benefit because this is the land of opportunity. You know, this city is booming. It's growing. Like we're literally like in the middle of a city that is supposed to grow exponentially over the next 10 to 15 years. And we're also like, I mean, if you look around us, there's land, there's open land where, you know, tons of stuff is being built every single day. But that being said, there's more pressure because there are so many new people that are coming in here every single day. People are moving from California, from Utah, from Arizona, like all over the place. And we're a very attractive state to live because we have all the major sports. We've got a lot of different industries that are starting to move here, like, you know, not just sports, but now the film industry is moving here. Like there's a lot of different opportunities. But with that, the need to be out there as a business owner is stronger than ever, you know, because not only are you, you know, competing with people who have been here and doing business for X number of years, but you also have to stay relevant to the new people that are moving here every single quarter. And we're a city that's based on entertainment, so there's a lot of messages that are being put out. We're used to being entertained, and so it's like that need to stay relevant, I think, is tough. It can be tough. Like you've got to be out and about. You have to be, you have to constantly be reminding people, regardless of what industry or category you're in. Like you got to constantly be reminding people of your existence, you know, which is crazy, but like, and I won't share any names, but like I've seen businesses that have been doing business for 10 plus years stop doing any type of marketing and advertising, and like see significant drops in their business because they thought, well, we've been doing this for 10 years. Like everybody knows who we are. But it's like, if you stop putting yourself out there, somebody else is going to try to jump for that spot again, you know?
Well, I mean, that brings up a conversation I had the other day. A conversation I had with another business owner, but I also have with my son. So my son plays hockey. Mm-hmm. You know, he's a goalie. There's 2 goalie positions.
Yeah.
And I remind him
tough.
Every single time, somebody's always coming for your spot.
100%.
Right? Somebody's always coming for your customer. Mm-hmm. And if you're not marketing, if you're not reminding them you exist, if you're not being accessible, somebody else is going to take them.
For sure.
Right? And if you aren't providing the right customer service, somebody else is going to take them, right? Somebody is always coming after them. Mm-hmm. You know, a good example of that is our production company. Like our production company, you know, that's what I've done for the past 15 years on my own. And once again, it's doing really well. I didn't do a lot of marketing, but I was still posting, showing behind the scenes, whatever, posting here and there, not like a ton. I've never been really big on social media, but because we've been so focused on building the studio, I literally don't post at all. And what happened? Nobody's really, I mean, our core clients, yes, they're still there. Mm-hmm. But the natural leads that were just coming in, the referrals that were just coming in
anymore.
They're not coming the same way because I wasn't posting. And once I made a few more posts again, it was like, oh, somebody reached out.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, oh, they're seeing you, right? So if you're not in places where people are looking, you're not going to be found. And it doesn't really matter what name you are, right? Like even a company like Nike or Apple, if they were to completely quit marketing, now they're not going to immediately die overnight, obviously.
No. But over time, other brands are going to steal market share.
5 years from now, 10 years from now, they won't be memorable. Think about some big names that used to be big.
Yeah.
Right?
Linens and things.
Yeah. There you go.
Linens and things. Full circle moment.
Exactly. And so someone's always coming for your spot. So if you're not constantly out there marketing, reminding people, right? But what's your favorite thing about Vegas?
God, the people. I say the people. And, you know, a lot of people be like, it's a transient town, blah, blah. I say, you know, bull honky, because the business community here is actually a really small, it's a pretty tight-knit community in the business world here in town, which of course you've seen too. But I've made some of the best friends of my life in this city. I met my husband in this city. I do business with amazing people in this city. And they're what keeps me here, you know? Like, the people are the reason why I'll suck it up for 3 months when it's 110 degrees in June, July, and August. And, you know, I think that Vegas has a lot to offer anybody in terms of, you know, quality entertainment that's 10 minutes away. Great, amazing restaurants right down the street. I mean, you can go have a Michelin star meal 5 minutes from your house, and you can go see the same artists as you'd go see in New York, LA, whatever, 10 minutes away. And we used to be able to park for free. Don't get me started on the paying for parking thing. That's the thing. But like, for the longest time, I said the only thing Vegas is missing is sports and the beach. And now we have sports. The only thing we're missing is the beach, but we got man-made beaches at the pools. So
they keep telling us that one day California is going to disappear in an earthquake, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I've been told that since I was a kid. I'm waiting for my beachfront properties.
That's so funny.
I'm waiting for them to break off.
And the other thing, too, is like our city, I know it's getting more expensive, but it is still very affordable. And that's the thing, too, is like I want to, I don't want to sit in traffic for 2 hours every single day. I don't want to be, I want to be able to be in a position where it's like I can work to live, not live to work, you know? And I think that Vegas still offers that because of the affordability of housing in this market, and everything here is just a little bit more affordable. What about you? You've been here for forever.
Yeah, I've been here since I was like 2
Yeah.
or 3. I mean, I agree. I like the people. I think we have a unique community here because I don't know. Everyone says it's transient. To me, it's not really transient. We get a lot of transplants, right? Like, so people, because transient to me means people come and go, but for the most part, people come and then they just don't leave. Like, that's the story of everyone's like,
That's me.
I was going to Vegas just for a couple years or just for the 1 year, and then I never left. And it's like, you know, so we have this melting pot of a community, which has pros and cons, but I've liked it because, I don't know, I feel like it's just a good, diverse, like, you kind of experience a little bit of everything here. So you're not super sheltered, but it's also not too crazy. Well, some parts are pretty crazy, but like, it's a good town. Like, I like it. I like how close we are to the beach, to good snow, to Zion National Park. Like, you're a 4-hour drive from like everything, or like a 35-minute flight, right?
Yeah.
And so I like that. I mean, the customer service, we're a service-based town.
Yep.
And so I always forget when I go out of town.
Yeah. And so you get service in other places and you're like, how are you still doing this? You know?
Yeah, you get lack of service.
Yeah.
And I always have to remind myself and remind my wife, I'm like, remember, we're not in Vegas.
Yeah.
All right. So they
That's so
don't know
funny.
how to serve. And then the food, right? We do have the best food. We were just in Utah. And like, I mean, I like Utah. It's very pretty. But man, they don't have very many good places to eat.
Yeah.
And we went to this one place that had 5 stars, right?
Yeah.
5 stars, everything. Everyone's amazing. The menu sounded great. You get there, it's like the grossest tacos I've ever had in my life. And I'm like,
We're spoiled.
ugh. Like, even, so I went to Brazil for 2 years. And it's funny, like, I ate out at churrascaria, or like the Brazilian steakhouses here. And then I went to Brazil. And I was like, it's better in Vegas.
That's so funny.
And so, but because we had the best chefs, we have
do.
the best of everything. I mean, my wife and I went to like Paris, and she wanted to go like to some stores, but then she's like, oh, we got it all in Vegas. Like,
it's so funny because like there have been opportunities over the course of the last 20 years that I've been here to take jobs in other markets when I was in broadcast. And there's one time where I got pretty close. And at the time, I was single. When I say single, I wasn't married yet, But I remember, and I'm not going to say the city because I never want to knock any cities, but I remember and I had a friend that lived there. So I was like, this could be good. Like, I know some people here. Like, I always enjoy visiting this city. This could be great. I even was like looking at putting, submitting for a rental application or whatever, because I wasn't going to buy anything, but I submitted a rental application. And I remember telling my friend that lived there, I was like, I just need to go and drive around and do this by myself. It was a Saturday night. And I was like, I just need to go drive around by myself. And I remember going to like their big place in this city and sitting there. And I was like, it's Saturday night. It's thriving, And I just remember looking, thinking like, this is as busy as it's ever going to get. And like, is this going to be enough for me? And the answer was no. Because coming from here, like when you're so used to like everything that we have disposable at our fingertips, like I personally think it would be really hard to live anywhere else after living here, because it's like you can go do anything. You can go see a great show. You can go have a great meal. You can do anything you want. And like I think that after having that accessibility for such a long time, I think it would be really hard to live anywhere else. And, without having to do something like, I'm from California, I'll just say it, sit in 2 hours of traffic to get to wherever you're going to go.
To go 5 minutes.
I mean, that's the crazy thing. Like, my brother went to law school in LA, and he'd always say, come down and visit. And, I grew up further inland than that. And I'd be like, you come to me. I don't want to sit in that traffic to get there,
You're like 6 miles away from each other.
That's it. And the thing that's crazy is just like, I think if you're going to live in a place like that, like you have to live where you want to do everything, because the traffic's so bad, you just can't get around, Whereas here, it's like you could loop this entire city in an hour and a half with no traffic, But I just share that story, I guess. I know I went on a tangent, but I think it's just going back to like why I love it and like what makes it, like I think it would be hard for people who have been here for as long as we have to live somewhere else, because like that's the question. Would it ever be enough?
Yeah. I forget how cool our city is, and sometimes we'll go down to the Strip to like go out to eat and stuff, and I like look at it, I'm like, it's pretty cool. Now I do wish we had like cool old buildings like Chicago downtown, like that. To me,
yeah, Chicago is amazing.
Like I love going there. Like I love looking at the buildings. Every time I go, we do the little river tour boat thing, and I love just sitting there in the water, just like looking at the city. I'm like, this place is so cool.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'd want to live there, but I love going and seeing it.
My mom's from there.
Oh yeah,
yeah. That cold in the winter, woo, go right through. No,
that's a whole different type of cold. Especially that wind just blowing through your clothes like they're nothing.
There's not enough layers in this universe to keep you warm in a winter in Chicago.
No, we went there when we went to New York like a month before, and it was cold, but it wasn't bad. And then we went there, and me and Isaac got out of the car and went to go walk downtown, and we both looked at each other. We're just like, nope. And we went back in the car, and I paid like $60 for parking or whatever I paid. And I was like, I don't care. Let's just leave.
Yeah, forget it.
Favorite place to eat? What's the best place to eat in Vegas for you?
Favorite place to eat here? These are good questions, and they're really tough. I don't know. I don't know that I could choose a favorite, honestly.
You're going out tonight. What's the first place you're thinking of?
I mean, one of the best steaks I've ever had in my life, which is impossible to get in there now because it's so busy. I guess like a nice dinner, Golden Steer.
I've heard that.
The steak and lobster, and they make the Caesar salad right at the table for you, and it is like chef's kiss. And it feels old Vegas, like mobster kind of a vibe. Like they have the big, leather booths and everything. And
It's like a 6-month wait to get in there or something like that, right? Like it's
Once
crazy.
upon a time, you used to be able to just roll, but now, I mean, I looked. Yeah, it is like almost like a 6-month wait to get in. But if you can, like, just book a time and then don't move it because the food's really good. But another place that I like, I guess like I have different places for different like pockets of town. Like if I'm going downtown, I like Triple George. Triple George is another old Vegas restaurant. Have you ever been there? Mm-mm. They got the old booths. The food's always good. It's like, it's not trendy or hip or whatever. It's kind of like more of like an old school vibe, but the food's always really good. On the Strip, Godspeed. There's so many. And then in Henderson, I love Ventano's up on the hill, the Italian restaurant.
I've never been there either.
Oh, you got to go there. They have a great view of the whole city from Ventano's. It's right off of like Valley Verde.
Yeah, and like Horizon. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but the views are so good and the food's good. But that's a really good one to try if you like Italian food. And then, I mean, I could go on for forever with this game. What about you? Yeah. What's your recommendation?
I used to say the Black Sheep.
Yep.
I like that place.
Okay.
But then they got rid of everything I liked there. So now I don't like them. So if you ever watch this, owner of Black Sheep, bring back the food I like your octopus and the chicken, like couscous or whatever it was.
Yeah, couscous.
Like that. Still good food. I think it's reasonably priced. It's like Asian French fusion kind of. But I don't really know.
Because that's the thing too. Like, are we talking sit down? Because I listed sit downs. What about like faster?
Yeah, fast. Well, I mean, this one's a sit down. I always say the Dillinger out in Boulder City.
I've never been there.
Yeah, it's like the guy who owns it owns like another place, like a little bar out in Boulder City. But it used to be an old bank. And then, yeah, just good hamburgers, salads, and stuff. I don't know. I'm trying to think. Okay, on the Strip.
Off the Strip for locals.
Yeah, but on the Strip for locals
on the
too.
Strip for locals too. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
One of our favorite places has been inside of Fontainebleau, the Wolf Mother, whatever. It's one of those two. There's a band called The Opposite, so I always forget which one's which.
Okay.
Dude, their pizza
is really good.
Their ice cream. Their strawberry ice cream is like you're just eating straight strawberries.
It's such a random, there's strawberry ice cream? Like, what?
No, it's literally the best strawberry ice cream I've ever had in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I'll go there just for that.
Are you like a big sweets guy?
Yeah, well.
Oh, my God.
I mean, yes.
You got to go to Great Harvest. Great Harvest Bread Co. You think it's bread, but they have sweet treats there, and they are amazing. And there's one literally right down the street from here on Sunset. You got to go.
I had a friend that used to work there. Or not a friend. Somebody that went to church with me that was a few years older. We used to work there. And we were out skateboarding. And we popped in to ask. I saw she was working. So I asked for a cup of water. And then she gave us like 10 bags of bread each because it was the end of the night.
Yeah.
And we were like closing up and throwing stuff away.
So good.
So we got the cinnamon bread, like that stuff. They do have good stuff there.
They have amazing stuff. The bread is my kryptonite. But anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
So I was just going to say, so to wrap up, what's one piece of advice you'd give an entrepreneur?
Oh, one piece of advice that I would give an entrepreneur. Believe in yourself. Trust your gut. Goal set so you have a roadmap to get to where you want to go. And then work your ass off and don't let go of your dream. Like, people become entrepreneurs because, in my mind, I remember telling myself, I could have everything that I want, but I'm going to have to work my ass off for it. So if you are willing to put in the work, don't give up. Like, don't give up. Are there going to be nights where it's really hard? Yeah. But you know what? Like, on those nights when it's really hard, just remember, you could be working for someone else. You could be pushing somebody else's agenda, somebody else's dream instead of your own. Like, we did this for a reason. Nobody said it was going to be easy, Nobody said that this was going to be easy, but it is going to be worth it. So keep grinding. Keep grinding, friends.
I love it. I love it. Where can people find out more information about you, to connect with you, and see what's going on?
Yeah. So follow us on Henderson City Lifestyle on Instagram, and we have a Vegas City Lifestyle on TikTok most recently. So Godspeed. We've entered the TikTok space. But yeah, on Instagram is the best way. And then we have a website too. It's citylifestyle.com/HendersonNV. Check us out.
Welcome to Built in Vegas, the podcast where we spotlight the stories, strategies, and resources behind the businesses that make Vegas thrive. Whether you're starting up or scaling up, you're in the right place. Brought to you by the Video Podcast Studio.